When times are troubled, we all look for inspiration in different things. Some find it in music, others look for it in nature. And some people are inspired by helping others. I look and found inspiration in all of these things. But I also found inspiration in places you might not expect.
If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but think that you can't, it's almost for certain that you won't. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You got to think high to rise. You have to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. If you think you will lose, you've lost. For out in this world we find, success begins, but the person's will is all in the state of mind. For life battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man. But sooner or later, the one who wins is the one who thinks he can.
That was beautiful.
I found inspiration in Gulf Shore's restaurant, and it came with a bowl of gumbo. As a chef, I need to stay curious in order to evolve. For me, that means looking beyond a great meal to learn more about who made it and what inspires them to cook. Every great city has great food. I'm going on a journey around the world right here in St. Louis to find good food and experience other cultures. I'm on a quest to find passionate chefs who cooks from the heart. Because food is love.
Gonna be delicious.
Food is love. Love your food. Excuse me, do you have rubber biscuits in there?
They may not have rubber biscuits here at Gulf Shores, but I've seen the recipe book. They have pretty much everything else. This is Harry, owner and operator of Gulf Shores in Creve Coeur and Edwardsville. The Cajun food and New Orleans atmosphere has made Gulf Shores popular with seafood lovers and Midwesterners who travel to vacation in Gulf Shores, Alabama, Louisiana, and Florida. For a lot of guests, eating here is a reminder of their vacation.
This guy here, who that cat?
Who that cat?
Yeah. So you know when you're coming to Gulf Shores, you're gonna have live music. You're gonna have Mississippi catfish, right? And this guy is saying, listen, I'm the happiest catfish in the world because we're gonna have a good time.
Great.
All right?
Yeah.
All right.
But what's most surprising is Harry isn't from St. Louis. He came expressly to spread the gospel of Creole cooking.
Good morning, we're Gulf Shores.
Yes, I'd like to place a pickup order, please.
Born and raised in the South. Mama and Daddy were never fortunate enough to own their own restaurant, own their own business, but they cooked, and they cooked different places.
So you went to college and then you went on to doing something non-related to the restaurant industry.
Well, I got my engineering degree, and then I went to Wharton, got an executive MBA, and then I joined a very good company which I worked for 30 years. If you didn't work for a company anymore and you've given them 15, 20 years, that company was indebted to you. All of that was going away. Yeah. So I said, it's time for me to do something different. At the age of 52, I began looking for what I wanted to do next.
How did you decide that you wanted to be in the restaurant business, and how did that lead you to St. Louis, of all places?
I said, I love cooking. I can get up every day. I can want to go to cook and so forth. So I'm gonna go do this. Had no professional training, okay? Had no business experience in the restaurant business at all, didn't know. But in data, I believe. I hired myself as free labor to a company for almost a year.
Okay.
Where I gave free labor to that restaurant owner. I learned what to do, but more importantly, I learned what not to do. When that didn't deter me enough to go away, I hired a restaurant location company.
Yeah.
And I said, here's the concept I had. I had developed a concept, and they came back to me after charging me a little money, said, here's a franchise that you can probably look at going with, but here's where you should locate, and it's St. Louis, Missouri. Listen, I've traveled all over the world. I've been to probably as many countries in Europe, South America, Africa, all over. And they said, here, St. Louis. I had never been to St. Louis. As I said before, in data, I believe. And so I said, okay, we're gonna go do this. And that's how we ended up in St. Louis. So they said, listen, it's a city that's in love with Cajun.
Yeah.
Okay? They have the second largest celebration of Mardi Gras in a place called Soulard. I never knew that before. It is one of the most diverse cities that you will go to, but you're gonna find out that when it comes to a Cajun restaurant, there's not many. We'll put you in a place called Creve Coeur. You're gonna do what? I never heard of Creve Coeur.
So this is where it all happens?
This is where it all happens, okay? You can see what we're doing right here. This is red beans and rice.
Oh,
okay?
wow.
The staple of any of New Orleans cooking lesson, gotta have, it has to have celery,
Yeah.
has to have onions, okay? Has to have rice. Now, what we've done is that we've probably gone a little bit further with the tomatoes than some of the other restaurants down there because
Yeah.
the staple in New Orleans, which is andouille sausage, we took a lot of it out.
Yeah.
Our red beans and rice comes without sausage. How do we carry the flavor? We carry the flavor with tomatoes because tomatoes will grab anything of this, okay? Crawfish gumbo, no, does not have andouille, it does not, because people.
But you make the roux, right, with
We
the
make-
Holy Trinity and all that.
We make the
classic.
roux.
Yeah, we won't hit you up for your secret gumbo recipe.
I won't tell you.
So you draw from everywhere and anybody.
I draw from everywhere and anybody, and that was the other thing that I really welcome. Okay, listen, being born and raised in the South, I mean, I understand. I lived it.
Yeah.
You have to understand. When I was in the first grade, that was like 1960. Okay.
Yeah.
That was that was back when the South was on fire, if you will.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. But the key thing that I walked away with, and I learned more than anything else, is that a lot of intolerance for other people, racism, is born out of ignorance. My mother and my father, they directed me on what I would say. I grew up in the church. The church family directed us on how we should act, what we should do, what we should say. And I saw a generation of kids coming that didn't know that anymore. So I said, if I'm going to do this, I need to get out now where I had enough energy that I could dedicate myself to being a role model. My intentions and my messages and what I really wanted to do with this restaurant is a dream come true.
So it's kind of a little bit like a church
It
for
is.
some of these young kids.
It is.
So what do you tell them about what's going on right now?
I give them time to express their anger. I give them time to be there. I've experienced so much. When you take me out of my Gulf Shores shirt, okay, and you have me driving around, the same thing could happen to me. I'm no
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
because of the color of my skin. So I understand that. And I also have a son that's 14 years old, which I'm trying to teach that as well, okay? And listen, I love to teach. It was sort of a natural fit. If you look at the history of Cajun dining, if you look at the history of Creole dining and so forth, that's what it was. It was a diversity of food, a diversity of taste
Yeah.
coming together to make something, really make it one.
And a diverse group of people too.
And a diverse group of people.
Yeah.
And so it was so that people could find the flavor that they loved in it. It was somewhere in it. It wasn't 100% what you'd eaten, but there was that morsel of something that you really loved, okay?
Yeah.
And it made you have a higher tolerance for the thing in there that you didn't love.
Yeah, and doesn't matter what the flavors are, what the colors are, it can go together beautifully.
Which is you're a little bit like people, okay?
Yeah.
So I say, so here's my opportunity to go into a place, and what I wanted to create was a dining experience that people didn't care that the people sitting right next to them were a different race, because they were so in love with the food, okay? That's what it is. And I made a commitment that regardless of where people came from, I don't care how far right, I don't care how far left, we would feed you. There's a formula for success. And once you understand what that formula is, it comes down to a simple question. Do you want to win or not? And that's the thing. Do you want to win or not? And
Do you want to win or not?
Do you want to win or not? A lot of things that I try to do, and so if I couldn't do it without a team being dedicated. But they know I'll go to bat.
I've only worked here 13 years.
That's right. 13 years. Let's try this. Here you go. That's your crawfish gumbo. Is that good? And roux. Smell good? Mm-hmm.
Delicious. I was hungry.
Yeah, isn't it good? Mm-hmm. Everybody's always hungry when they come to Gulf Shores, you know?
Well, I get hungry when I hear the word gumbo.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah.
So that's the other reason that we blend our spices. We don't want your mouth on fire. We want you to be able to taste all of the diversity of the spices. You can taste them all.
And the ingredients, everything
that's right.
It comes out beautifully. Because I've had many gumbos, but this is really, really good.
Right.
Very good.
I tell most of the restaurant owners is that whatever you're going to do, be the standard. Make it your own.
Yeah.
Make sure that you do something different to it because it becomes your own.
Yeah.
So that everybody, because people can go different places and get gumbo, but they can't get Gulf Shores gumbo. We had the opportunity to become the model, to become the standard for what gumbo is, which is I would have had a much more difficult time doing that if I were in New Orleans or if I were in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And if you are the standard, then it's up to you to lose. We've created the dining experience here that you would have to go to 4 or 5 different places in New Orleans to get. Places that have live music don't do the kind of food that we do, okay? Places that have all the banners and the beignets and so forth, they don't have the live music and so forth. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to take the very best of New Orleans and bring it here because I wanted to be the standard.
After leaving the restaurant with a full belly, I went in search of a nice background for a shot.
There's nothing like the breeze coming off of the water.
We ended up at Creve-Coeur Lake, Sailboat Cove to be exact.
I always wanted to be a pirate. The cannons don't thunder, there's nothing to plunder. Harry, he's like such an inspiration. It spills from his heart and out. It was very inspirational to see that today.
The following conversation I found myself having was unplanned and totally by chance.
Have you heard of Gulf Shores Restaurant?
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah. I've met the owner, and he's real nice, friendly, white. I don't know them personally.
Harry is the owner. He's a very nice guy. We just had a wonderful conversation about food and life. He's an inspiration. It's almost like going to church.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the one thing I remember even more so than the food was him, you know? One of my girlfriends was in the midst of starting a business, and he really talked to her about the importance of putting together a business plan. And she went, took a class, and now she's a business owner. So he inspired her to step back and really take her business seriously. So he planted that seed, you know. You didn't know you'd get all that from me, right? Just ask.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, you know, that's exactly the same conversation we just had. Creve-Coeur, is that how you say it? How do you say it?
Creve-Coeur.
Creve-Coeur, okay, because French it would be Creve-Coeur.
Creve-Coeur.
Yeah, broken hearts. Did you know it meant that?
You know, I did not know, but the symbol is a heart that's divided. So I've always wondered what that meant.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Oh,
Well,
okay. Why is the heart broken though?
You know, I don't know. We ought to look into that. Well, food is love. Creve-Coeur is French for broken heart. I came to Creve-Coeur, my heart is broken because I thought I made the best gumbo. I'm an over 40 victim of fate, arriving too late.
Before it gets too late, I'm off to check out another St. Louis, New Orleans connection. This one is a different kind of inspiration to the city.
So do you have a New Orleans connection?
So we're heavily influenced by New Orleans culture.
You know how you were marching, I watched you.
Yeah,
It's very much like what you would see in the French Quarter.
exactly. And that's
Okay.
what we patterned it after, the New Orleans style second line brass band music. So there's brass band music, which is characterized by wind instruments, brass instruments. Then there's New Orleans second line brass band music, which is a subset derivative of that, where it's characterized by marching through the streets, playing the music. Neighbors and people in the town come out and dance and march along with you. So the band is the first line, and the dancers and the neighbors and the people in the street are the second line. So that's why it's called second line music, because it's really kind of driven by the people who are behind the band.
Right. So it's, you know, it's interesting because, you know, we talk about food is love, but music is also love,
Absolutely.
and music also bring people together.
You won't believe how many people will come up to us and tell us how much we've made their day. Feelings of joy, happiness, tears we've seen just from people not getting that exposure to music anymore.
Food is love.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
These guys were amazing. Just in time for dinner, Harry has invited me to a good old southern boil. So thank you very much for inviting us to your home.
It's good to have you here. Normally in New Orleans, it would be either a crawfish boil or it would be a crab boil or whatever, but we're doing sort of a combination. It's sort of the uniqueness of what we do and how we sort of bring things together to make something one, okay? So in preparation for it, you can see we have probably the biggest crawfish that you'll ever see. Is that? 1620 Gulf shrimp, sweet corn on the cob. You gotta have some mussels in there. If you were doing this at home or if you're doing it in the backyard, instead of having it in a bag, you would just put all of this in. We have red potatoes that we cut up and we just bag them like this, bag them up. These are onions and red peppers and bell peppers and so forth. They give it the flavor. The shrimp goes on top of it. The crawfish goes on top of it. And on top of all of that, snow crab legs.
Beautiful leg.
What is it called, the dump dinner? We're gonna take it out of our pots and we're just gonna dump it right on, okay? In the South, they add the spice to the water. This is our Cajun spice. Parsley, it's got oregano, it's got all kinds of stuff, okay? And so after we've got all this cooked up, then after we bring it out, we take this and we just sprinkle it over the whole thing.
So this is a regular dinner at your house?
Well, not so much a regular because of the time, but it is a magical moment when we have it. Huh? It's just so much easier to go to the restaurant. It's on the menu.
And you don't have to do the dishes?
I don't have to do. I also don't have to do the prep. Okay.
Yeah.
Erica is doing her caramel cake. When it comes to a caramel cake, this is it. And so Erica has the recipe for the caramel cake, and so she's doing a caramel cake.
Is that a southern
It is.
thing? Caramel cake?
It is very much a southern thing. Well, we also had to give him some lessons on how to say. He was saying New Orleans. And I say, no, you would never. It's Nolans is one word.
Yeah.
N''AWLINS. You wanna try that, Rick?
Nolans.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Well, listen, I can take you home anytime now.
Okay,
I mean, you'll be
good.
fine. We have the pots going, and what we're going to do is we're going to just add the seasonings to it. While we were waiting for all of this, we said that my wife Erica sings at the restaurant.
Yeah.
She's just released her third gospel CD. She's an independent artist.
That's awesome.
And so she's going to do a song from that. Okay. Okay. Honey, when they drop those in there and let them do their thing.
All right.
I knew it. The old chef is coming out of you now, right? You couldn't take it.
I have to do something, so I can say I played along.
He's been itching the whole time. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add the crawfish.
Crawfish. So when you travel the world and you had so many different flavors from all over, you still came back to this.
I learned how to appreciate how everything came together. Like, for example, when I traveled in the Far East and also in the Middle East, I learned to have a greater appreciation for the curries.
Yeah.
You know, the different curries and the flavor they brought. While I was in Pakistan, I learned I had a new appreciation for licorice. When I was in and out of Africa, I'd never had dried fish until I went there and so forth, and how they would let it dry with the spices. In New Orleans, they take all of that, and somehow or another they brought it all together in the flavors, okay? And it's so interesting to come home and bring New Orleans kind of food this way, because when people have it, they've had one spice, they have the other spice, but the mixture all makes go, pow.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah.
It makes them taste things they've never tasted before.
It's the melting pot.
It's the melting pot.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna love this.
Oh, I know we are.
In front of the other, grab your sister, grab your brother. We just come to have a good time, celebrate and let's unite. Now if we all just work together, we can work out whatever. No worries, set your soul free. Time keeps moving, ever changing. Let's stick together and make this change. Get up! Yeah! Come on! Everybody get up! Get on up!
Yay!
That was awesome. You're in trouble. That's a hard act to follow.
I know. The dump dinner had better be good. I know that.
Yeah.
It's ready. Look at that. You get that smell?
Yeah, it's awesome.
We have the crab legs on top, but you can see the seasoning on those. Isn't that great? Okay, so there's our crawfish. And then the third over here, potatoes. All the potatoes look excellent. Okay, so this is our shrimp, andouille sausage, mussels, corn on the cob, good stuff there. For the base, you have to have something that's really flavorful, really good. These are roasted onion and peppers. What you would do if you were doing this at home, of course, you would onions up and you would go ahead and saute them until the onions are a little bit translucent. So we take this and we put them in here. And we just mix them up. So you have that. So even if you do these beforehand and you refrigerate them overnight, the potatoes are going to be hot enough that they'll warm these up. So we here, the garlic in. Now you're really getting something. You get the smell.
A lot of flavor, yeah.
A lot of flavor. And then last but not least, we just add a little butter.
The base of potatoes and peppers smells good enough to fill you up, but it's only a glorified bed for what's coming next.
Okay, so we go to potatoes. So you get the potatoes down.
It smells terrific.
We dump it. This is on the menu in the restaurant. Look at those. Is those something?
It's the seafood lover's dream, and it just keeps coming.
Our spice we do ourselves. You hit it. Last but not least is we get the crab leg.
Wow.
We get the crab legs. Gentlemen,
wow.
The dump dinner.
Awesome.
You got crab crackers here, you got forks here. As they say in New Orleans, laissez bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll.
I'll never be the one to dispute having more seafood. The bounty in front of us leaves little room for chatter.
Nobody's talking, that's a good sign, see?
That's a good sign.
Everybody's busy. You gonna be a chef when you grow up? Huh? And a ninja.
It was a chance to spend time with Harry and his family around an unbelievable meal. It reminded me what Harry said about Cajun food and how we can learn from it.
And all those influences, Haitian influence, West African influence, French influence, and so forth. I mean, you wonder sometimes if it can happen with food.
Yeah.
Well, if you can take the best of that, and if it can happen with food, why can't it happen with people?
That's the message we have to have.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it can.
I started out looking for inspiration in the Cajun-style food at Gulf Shores, and I found it. But I also found a different kind of inspiration. Good people do still exist, and they are in fact everywhere. And restaurants like Harry's, in communities, companies and civic groups coming together to provide groceries to struggling families, groups like the Red and Black Brass Band, in homes, around meals with people we love. The city is a lot like Gumbo. We are made of a diverse list of ingredients.
Thank you very much. And you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And sir, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Lovely day, lovely day. It was a lovely day. Food is love.
It's all the diversity and different flavors that makes us something special.
So Cajun cuisine is such an eclectic mix, a lot of French influence.
Gumbo as an inspiration. I'll be honest, it's not the first thing that came to mind when I came here. But what Harry said made sense.
In the heart of Cajun cuisine is the Holy Trinity. I think actually it was Paul Prudhomme that came up or coined that phrase. The French calls it mirepoix. So here's our Holy Trinity. Succotash. This is so good. Fishnet I made out of potatoes, oregano, chive flowers over here. New Orleans. Lobster and prawns.
The diversity of ingredients means that there is something in it for all of us.
Food is love, it really is.